Most people see business class the same way, a luxury they would love to experience, but one they assume is simply not for them. The moment they see the price, they stop thinking about possibility and start thinking about limitation. They picture wide seats, quiet cabins, better meals, more privacy, a bed in the sky, and immediately decide that world belongs to someone else. Executives, frequent flyers, people with endless budgets. But that assumption is exactly where many travelers lose. Because business class is not priced the way most people think. Those high fares are not just random numbers attached to comfort. They are shaped by timing behavior urgency route choices and the habits airlines know. Travelers fall into again and again. And once you understand that something important changes, you stop looking at business class as a distant luxury and start seeing it as a system. A system that rewards some travelers and quietly overcharges others. That is why two people can end up in the same premium cabin on similar journeys and pay completely different amounts. One books in the most obvious way, follows the most common instincts, and pays far more than necessary. The other takes a smarter path, avoids the traps built into the booking process, and gets much closer to the same experience for far less. So this video is not about fantasy hacks or empty promises. It is about understanding how the airline system really works, where the pricing weak spots are, and how smart travelers use that knowledge to stop overpaying for business class. Because sometimes the biggest difference is not money. It is simply knowing what the airline hopes you never figure out. Number 1. Timing the system instead of guessing the price. One of the biggest myths in airfare is that booking as early as possible always gets you the best deal. With business class, that is often not true. When airlines first release flights, usually around 11 to 12 months before departure, premium seats are often priced high. That is because airlines know some travelers, especially business travelers, will book anyway. They have fixed schedules, urgent plans, or company budgets behind them, so the airline starts from a position of strength. But that does not mean the price stays there. If those seats are not selling fast enough, the airline's strategy begins to shift. Instead of protecting the highest possible fare, it may start trying to fill premium seats that would otherwise remain empty. And that is why one of the most useful windows to watch is often around 2 to 4 months before departure. Some travelers wait until the last minute hoping for a dramatic drop. Sometimes that works. If the cabin is still half empty close to departure, prices can fall sharply. But it is also risky. On busy routes or during peak travel periods, waiting too long can easily mean paying more, not less. Another detail many people ignore is the day of the week. Midweek departures, especially Tuesdays and Wednesdays, can often be cheaper, while Fridays and Sundays tend to be more expensive because demand is stronger. That is why it helps to use tools like Google Flights simply to compare dates and watch price movement. Do not guess panic or assume the first fare is normal. The smartest travelers are not just booking early. They are watching for the moment the airline starts changing its strategy. Number 2. Why nonstop flights often cost more than they should. Many travelers automatically search for nonstop flights first. It feels easier, faster, and more convenient. And airlines know that. That is why nonstop business class tickets are often priced much higher. They are not just selling a better seat, they are also charging for your desire to save time. Business travelers in particular often prefer nonstop routes, and airlines build that into the fare. But that creates an opportunity for smarter travelers. Flights with a layover can sometimes be much cheaper than non-stop options, even when the overall trip is very similar. And while many people dislike connections, they are often easier to handle in business class. You usually have more space, more comfort, and access to airport lounges, which can make the wait far less stressful. So the extra stop is not always the burden people imagine. Sometimes it is simply the trade-off that unlocks a much better price. Airlines often charge a premium not only for comfort, but for convenience. And if you are willing to be a little more flexible, that convenience premium can sometimes be avoided. Because in business class, the most expensive choice is not always the best one. It is often just the one most people ask for first. Number 3. The deals most travelers never notice. Some of the best business class prices never appear in front of the average traveler for very long. That is because airlines sometimes release limited promotions, send special offers through email newsletters, or quietly push deals to members of their frequent flyer programs. In some cases, unusually low fares also appear through travel deal accounts or even short-lived mistake fares. And when that happens, speed matters. Most travelers hear about these deals too late. They see them after the fare is gone, after the airline has corrected the price, or after the promotion has ended. But travelers who already follow the right sources have a much better chance of seeing those opportunities in time. That is why it helps to stay connected directly to the airlines and to the channels that track premium fare drops. Some of the best prices are not found by searching harder. They are found by being close enough to the right information when the window opens. Because when a strong business class deal appears, it usually does not wait around for indecisive people. Number 4. The upgrade path most travelers overlook. Most travelers assume there is only one way to get a business class seat pay for it up front, and that is exactly where many people spend more than they should. Because sometimes the smarter way into business class does not begin with a business class ticket at all. It begins with economy or premium economy followed by an upgrade later. In the right situation, that path can cost far less than booking business class from the start. Why? Because airlines do not always value an upgrade the same way they value a full-fare business class booking. Early on, premium seats are often priced high to capture travelers willing to pay full price. But closer to departure, if too many of those seats remain empty, the airline may become more flexible. At that point, offering upgrades becomes a way to earn extra revenue from seats that might otherwise go unsold. That is where informed travelers think differently. Instead of asking only, "How much is business class?" they ask, "What is the cheapest way to reach the same cabin?" A lower fare can sometimes open the door to a much better total price later. But not every ticket works the same way. Fare class matters because some economy fares are far more upgrade-friendly than others. Timing matters too, and even checking the seat map can give useful clues about how full the premium cabin looks. Sometimes it is also worth calling the airline directly to ask what upgrade options are available. Smart travelers do not just buy the seat they see first. They look for the path the airline did not expect most people to consider. Number 5. The positioning flight strategy. Sometimes the reason business class looks expensive is not the cabin. It is the city you are booking from. Airlines do not price tickets by fairness. They price them by market. That means the exact same kind of trip can cost far less if it starts in a different city. And that is where positioning flights come in. A positioning flight is a separate ticket you buy to reach another departure city where the long-haul business class fare is cheaper. For example, a direct booking from your home city might cost $5,200, while the same journey from another city costs $3,200. If a short flight to that city costs $200, you could still save $1,800 overall. That is a huge difference. Of course, this takes more planning. Separate tickets mean more moving parts, and you need enough time between flights to avoid problems. But for travelers willing to think beyond their nearest airport, the savings can be dramatic. Do not assume your home airport offers the smartest price. Sometimes the best deal begins somewhere else. Because in the airline pricing game, changing your starting point can change the entire cost. Number 6. Mix the trip, not just the price. Many travelers think booking business class is an all-or-nothing decision. Either the whole trip is in business class, or it is not worth considering at all. But that way of thinking often makes the price feel higher than it needs to be. A smarter approach is to mix cabins strategically. You might book business class only for the longest segment of the trip, where comfort matters most, and choose economy for shorter flights that are easier to tolerate. In some cases, travelers book one direction in business class and the return in a lower cabin. Others use premium economy as a middle ground when full business class still feels too expensive. This works because not every part of a journey delivers the same value. A short regional flight may not justify the cost of a premium seat. But on a long overnight route, extra space, better sleep, and less stress can make a much bigger difference. So instead of paying for luxury everywhere, smart travelers pay for comfort where it matters most. That is the real shift. You do not always need to buy the entire premium experience. Sometimes you only need to buy the part that changes the trip the most. And once you think that way, business class starts looking less like an impossible splurge and more like a flexible tool. Number 7. Points can still be one of the strongest shortcuts. Even if you do everything else right, there is still one strategy that can reduce the cost of business class more dramatically than almost anything else: points and miles. A lot of travelers ignore this because they assume it is too complicated or only useful for travel experts. But when used well, points can open the door to the exact same premium seat for far less than the cash price. And that is why they remain one of the most powerful tools in the system. One of the fastest ways people build a meaningful balance is through credit card sign-up bonuses. Those bonuses can sometimes create enough value to make a business class redemption far more realistic than paying full fare in cash. Of course, not every redemption is a great deal. Some airlines require too many miles, and some routes offer much better value than others. That is why the goal is not just to collect points. It is to use them carefully where they create the biggest difference. Cash is not the only way into business class. And travelers who understand that often unlock opportunities most people never even consider. Because sometimes the smartest way to beat a high price is not to pay it directly at all. In the end, business class is not just about spending more money. It is about understanding why the price is high in the first place and knowing there may be more than one way around it. Most travelers see a premium fare and assume that is simply the cost of comfort. But airlines are not only selling a better seat. They are pricing around urgency habits, convenience, and the fact that most people will book in the most obvious way possible. That is where smart travelers gain the advantage. They look at upgrades. They watch timing. They stay open to layovers, hidden deals, different departure cities, mixed cabins, and points. They do not assume the first price is the only price, and that one mindset shift can completely change what business class costs. Because the real difference is often not who has the biggest budget. It is who understands the system better before they book.